Okay, go.
Bleep that.
Okay.
We'll edit that.
All right,
We're live.
We are live. So for those of you just tuning in, I am Cole Sorensen, Western Speedway track announcer, but little under the weather, as you can tell by my smoker's voice here tonight. It is Short Track Radio podcast, starting this up here with
Episode 1.
That's Chris Miller, who I was just about to introduce there, jumping in, and our first guest, because, well, he's just always here, is the driver, number 71, Miller Family Racing non-wing sprint car, Western Speedway in Saratoga, James Miller.
And that is me.
Of course, James and Chris, if you haven't figured out, are brothers, so we'll have that to deal with over the course of this podcast. Guys, what's the plan for 2018? James, you got your car out here in the shop getting put together.
Yeah, we've been working pretty hard on it. Well, kind of working hard.
Off and on.
Yeah, off and on. Yeah, getting it all dialed in, putting it all together, rebuilding and replacing any parts that need it, and yeah, trying to figure it out.
So, and Chris has the 71 old-timer that you'll see out at the Speedway a few times this year. Chris stepping back the schedule just a tiny bit this year, I understand.
Yeah, I got 5 weddings to go to, so not going to make all the races, but hopefully have someone in the car driving.
Isn't it great when all of your friends just get right in the married range and they all just go, summer is a great time for weddings.
Yeah, summer's race season.
Yeah, summer's racing season. Everything that I have, every wedding or stag falls on a race day.
Of course, again, I think I said this about Matt Verhagen last season when he missed out on a 2-day show. It's like, how can you do that to your friends? How can you force them to sit in a suit when they could be racing or sitting in a different suit in a race car?
Yeah, that's unfortunate that we have friends.
It's unfortunate.
Friends outside of racing.
Yeah.
A social life. Yeah.
Actually, one of the weddings that we're going to is Kif Saunders' wedding. So I
actually haven't been invited to
James, whoa.
What the
Well, I'm
Kif?
going.
Did Kif schedule it on an old-timer race weekend?
Yeah. Actually,
well, Kif probably did nothing.
yeah, Kif probably didn't do
Right. So
anything.
we'll blame it on the bride.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he probably doesn't even know there's a race that day yet. So.
Yeah,
Or
sorry.
a wedding.
Sorry to Kif's lovely fiancée. I'm sure she won't be listening to this.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Beating up on Kif here.
Rusty nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris, you started this thing. Why are we all gathered here today? What's the plan for the Short Track Radio podcast?
Honestly, I just spend a lot of time in the car listening to podcasts. I just thought there's not a lot of podcasts out there about racing, and there's not a lot of podcasts out there that are from the island. So I thought that it would be cool to. I know I like to hear about racing and what everyone's up to, so just thought maybe we could gather the troops and start something.
Talk about cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely get this thing off and rolling here with our very expensive equipment that we bought.
Yes.
So if the audio levels are not up to par, we do apologize. We are putting this out for free on our own time, so I mean, really, is there any complaining that people should be doing?
No, they should shut up.
Yeah.
Or you could sponsor us, give us some money so we can get some better mics and better stuff. And then,
Yeah, send us a
there's an
DM
idea.
at Short Track Radio's Facebook page.
Yeah, Short Track Radio 1. And find us on Instagram at Short Track Radio and YouTube, Short Track Radio 1.
Or if you can't find any of that and you're already following the Miller Family Racing page on Facebook, just send us a message on that too.
Yeah, we'll have that up there.
Yeah, we get that going.
Yeah.
So obviously 2017 was a pretty interesting year overall for for you guys on quite a few fronts. Maybe we'll start with James on recapping the 2017 season in the non-wing sprint car. Obviously, it started out at the first race better than any of your races or in 2016 rather.
Yeah, absolutely. We got pretty lucky. Other than the crash, Dad's crash, we had a lot of luck during the season. The first race we put together, we've ended up finishing second. Two of the faster guys wiped out right in front of me, and we're taken out early. I think on the first corner of the first lap of the first race.
Yeah, it did not go well.
Two fast guys are out of the race right away, and I think I restarted that race in like fourth or something like that, and was able to make my way by
with a slight drizzle too.
Yeah. I think there was a couple puddles out there, and avoiding the puddles. But no, we ended up finishing second, and I think we got pretty lucky just finishing second. And even throughout the whole season, we always found a way to end up near the front if I wasn't out of the race.
Yeah, obviously a mechanical issue, kind of at the Strawberry Cup, and then we'll talk about your crash.
Yeah.
Daffodil Cup night, you managed to.
Yeah, the Strawberry Cup night was we hopped a wheel and the brake line tore off, the rear brake line tore off, and we just couldn't get it replaced in time to get back out. But actually, we didn't even have one to put on the car, so that's something that we're working on for next season, getting enough spare parts to actually get back out there if a problem arises. So, but the big, the second DNF was a pretty hard one. After Dad's crash, coming back to the island, first race back, I think we were like fastest
at
Western. Yeah, first race back at Western. We were like fastest in practice, I think, and then qualified not so great. I think I still qualified fifth, but ended up winning the heat race. I can't even remember that. It was just a blur, that first heat race. But that was a pretty good one on the backstretch at Western, coming down into three, and I think it might have been Hazzy drove under Jeff and kind of pushed Jeff out a little bit, and then I was already on the outside of Jeff and went for a ride right into the cheese grater wall, tore the whole front end of the car off.
Just kind of a racing deal going into three.
Yeah, it was nobody's fault, and I had a run down the backstretch, but oh well, that happens. And we rebuilt the car with your dad and Brian and James Campbell and Daryl, of course. Everybody was out in the shop every night getting the thing back together. We put her together in I think 11 days. We made it out to the first practice, and then went up to Saratoga and just qualified like crap. Even though I think I still put a good lap time down in practice. We were, as soon as that new car out on the track, nerves and everything, and put down just a horrible lap. I think I pushed in every corner and just about went off the backstretch coming out of two, and I think I still only qualified 0.3 off the leader, which put me, I think, out of 14 cars, I think I was 13th. So it's crazy how close these Wheel Rock cars are in times. The top 10 are within a tenth, so it's definitely tough. Makes for tough racing.
Yeah, definitely a close race there, and obviously we had to kind of pull another chassis out of the weeds there and dust some moss off.
Yeah. Neil Montgomery hooked us up pretty good. We were Not suspecting that. That was pretty cool, and thank him a lot and for letting that chassis go. Put that thing together in 11 days. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously with second place finish in the points, not too many things getting changed in the car other than the paint scheme a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have a new look for 2018, and hopefully we'll get her figured out. We'll get her dialed in a little bit more. Keep her down in the 15s all season, hopefully.
Yeah.
Rewind a bit. You didn't finish your story. You qualified like crap, and then you ended up winning that race.
Yeah, we were lucky enough, once again, pretty lucky, to start up at the front. I think we started outside pole, and by then I was comfortable enough in the car after the heat race, and we'd kind of tweaked it a little bit, played with some tire pressures and stuff like that to get it where I felt comfortable, and once I got out, I think we had 35 laps and just picking one lap at a time off, and figured out that it was pretty good. The car was pretty damn good. I think we won by almost straightaway and a half. So the car was pretty dialed in that night, but it took a while. It took the whole night to figure it out, and by the main event, we had it pretty good.
And for those of you who don't know, James does go on some tangents and ambles, and
a little bit.
Is distracted by squirrels, so we might have to steer him back on track every now and again.
Yeah.
But Chris managed to have a few strong finishes in the old timer. Finally, starting to get the thing figured out just a little bit more than 2016.
Yeah, old timers is weird because it's just for fun technically. Although it is very competitive. The car's a top 5 car any night. It's the driver that's driving it to get it to top 5 is different. Yeah. Obviously, it's last year was only my second year of racing. Well, yeah, second in a couple races.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out, and it was weird because after we came back from Wenatchee, I didn't have Dad to help me out, so my crew chief wasn't there, so I had the last race was when I figured it out how to set it back up to the way it was before we went to Wenatchee, because obviously Wenatchee's a completely different track than Western, but when it's set up good, it goes. When you have just me working on it, because he's too busy with the sprint car, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just trying stuff, and if it's not working, then I'm doing donuts on the backstretch.
Yeah, it's good for some interesting moments every now and again, but you did find out that with a little bit of banking, that does help things out in the finish department.
Yeah, Wenatchee, it's hard not to go fast there.
That car always liked Wenatchee. When I drove it, I think we had the track record for 2 years down there until Sean Priest beat us out.
Yeah, it's definitely a fast car, and that Wenatchee track is unreal to race at. It's super fast and fun. That was the first time I'd been there before, so it was pretty cool. I swept the weekend's trophy dashes, and then third place on Friday Saturday, and second on Sunday. So not bad, but then Dad crashed and everything went to shit
real fast.
So maybe talk about that and kind of the aftermath of that. Obviously, your dad was in the non-wing sprint cars in Will-Rock and went down to Wenatchee and had a pretty big wreck going into turn number 1.
Yeah, we were having a pretty awesome weekend.
Yeah, it was a good little vacation.
Yeah, till the end. We drove down on, I think we left on Wednesday. We got there got there on Friday and did a practice night, and everyone, like, car was going good. Everyone's cars were kind of getting dialed in.
Yeah.
And then Saturday went good. Like, that I-1 came third. James came fifth, I think.
Yeah.
And Dad was in
It was
seventh.
It was a tough race. The full invert was pretty
Definitely
tough
not the way to
navigating
go.
getting through the traffic, and it is a hard, it's a fun track, but it's
When there's lots of cars, it's
a
not.
lot of G-force, a lot of race cars on the track, and you're trying to make your way through. It's tough to know which way to go, and you can kind of get yourself in trouble if you dive in too deep and get down on the apron. So a couple times I did that, probably shouldn't have, and probably, the reason why we ended up where we did was we kind of dove under a little. I dove under a little too deep and got under a guy, and then actually ended up causing a little bit of a wreck behind me. But and we struggled. Like my car, we struggled a lot to get it dialed in. Dad's car was flying all night, but.
So anyway, James finished. We had a good Saturday. Everyone finished the races, and then Sunday, like my race went good. Everything was good. Actually, James and Dad were in the same heat race, and they Dad led the whole race. Yeah. And on the last lap, James passed two cars, and one being Dad, passed him on the last lap, for the win. And then I remember just like sitting on the hood of my car and watching James and Dad pull in, and they were both laughing so hard.
Yeah. And
just like having the greatest time. And then
it was pretty cool. Yeah, I remember Mike's shot was behind Dad, and he I could tell he hesitated a little bit to go to the outside of Dad, because I think both me and Mike were just a little bit faster than Dad in that heat race, and he hesitated a little bit, and I went and ended up passing two cars in 2 laps, and then winning the race on the last lap, the heat race to beat out my dad. So that was the race before he crashed, so that was pretty cool. And we pulled in, both laughing and get out of the car. He runs over, gives me a hug, and next time that won't happen. And
Classic
it kind
line.
of
I'll let you do that.
Yeah, totally.
Some bragging rights.
Yeah.
And then 3 laps into
was it 3 laps?
40-lap race. It looked like from the video that we have, the guy that was on the inside just was hoping to go up the bank a little bit farther and then dive down to come out of the corner better, and just jumped tires. And when he did, he landed on his right front, and the axle broke off and flipped him. So he landed like completely
front down first.
Right front down, and then the whole car was like
rotated
facing the wrong way, and then because of the weight transfer onto the back tire, he rolled into the wall, so upside down and backwards at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's a pretty fast track, and when you leave the racing surface, when your rubber leaves the racing surface, it feels like you go 100 miles an hour faster. So yeah, I can't even imagine what it would have been like
for him.
Yeah.
So anyway, they obviously it went red right away, and I was watching the race, and I was in turn 3, and I ran from turn 3 in the pits to the other, like turn 1 and 2, and then dodged this security guard, dangled him, ran out on the track. I waited till it was red. Obviously, I seen it went red, and all the cars had stopped.
No Ricky Bobby moments.
No. And then I was actually the first one to my dad, and I could see that he was unconscious, and I watched the crash. I immediately thought he was gone. Turns out he wasn't. He suffered traumatic brain injury, fractured T5 and T6, 3 broken ribs. So yeah, he got ambulances. 3 ambulances showed up. They took him to Wenatchee Valley Hospital. Then he got airlifted from Wenatchee to Seattle, and was in Seattle for
About a week.
7
or 8 days.
6 or 7 days, I think.
Or wasn't? Yeah, okay.
And then
Such a blur.
but it was weird because like Dad's a Superman. He knows what to do and all those situations, and now we're like, well, what the fuck do we do?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. So we packed up all our stuff and tried to.
Yeah, we had a lot of help from a lot of people down there after the crash, and I remember sitting in the car looking back. I was basically in turn 4, looking towards turn 1. The car is up in the middle of the track, and you can see his white helmet just bobbing in his lap, and just be like, "Come on, get out of the car, get up, get out of the car, get out of the car." Yeah. So then once we did pack everything up, everybody helped us get out of there, which was pretty crazy. It was a long drive to Seattle.
We drove a 28-foot car hauler
through downtown Seattle.
Which is,
Seattle.
it might as well be San Francisco in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, basically is. So James dropped me and my sister off, and we ran into the hospital. Mom got the flight with Dad, and when we got there, it was like Mom had talked to the doctor already, and she said, like, there's a good chance that he's not going to wake up.
It's pretty scary when palliative care comes around and someone starts talking to you about what's the next step for your family. It's a heart dropping. Your heart stops pretty quick there. So
we got there and we're just like, what? Like, he's got tubes down him and freaking everything's like sticking out of him. And then he had like a brain pressure monitor put in, sticking out of his head. He looked like a Teletubby.
Dipsy. We can laugh now, but geez, it was not
cool.
A laugh.
Yeah,
it was kind of funny at that point.
then you had to find
because we know he'd be laughing.
Yeah. Then you had to find the parking spot for the truck and the trailer in downtown Seattle.
Probably one of the most hardest things I've ever had to do was drive through the night from Wenatchee, in the dark after what had happened, and trying to navigate through where to sleep. I think we crashed in a Walmart parking lot, and we ended up stopping there. One of the employees came out and started writing us up because we weren't allowed to stay the night at Walmart in Seattle because it was within the city limits or whatever, some bullshit. And so we had to pack up like 3 hours later from stopping. I think we slept for about an hour and a half maybe, and then got back on the road to Harbor View.
Dropped us off, and then James took
we definitely left some scars on the pavement with the trailer going up and down those hills, dragging the back of the trailer down the hill. That 28-foot trailer does not like the city.
Yeah, not a Seattle driver. Then James took the truck and trailer to Vancouver, dropped the trailer off, and came back.
Oh, we parked it at
Home Depot or something.
Oh yeah, Home Depot. We parked it in a Home Depot parking lot. Got a cab to the hospital, and then hung out for a few hours, and until we kind of had a plan of what was going to be the next step, and then luckily James Campbell got a hold of us and reached out to us and offered to come grab the trailer that day. So I grabbed the trailer, drove up to Vancouver. He met us at the border, grabbed the trailer, and we raced back down. with the truck. So, and then parked in the hospital. So it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Driving up, dropping off the trailer, knowing that you don't know if you're going to come back to anything. So it was a tough moment. It was definitely one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
So once he was in Seattle for the 7 days or whatever, they did a MRI, and they thought originally that he had a bleed in his brainstem, and in the state of Washington and in BC, if you have a bleed in your brainstem, you're considered brain dead because your autonomic nervous system doesn't work anymore. So
wow, that's a big word.
Yeah.
Chris Miller coming
college.
out.
College, everyone.
Did you just pull that out of your head there?
Nice.
So, yeah. So they did an MRI, and the doctor came back and said that it's actually not in the brainstem. He has small bleeds throughout his brain, and there won't be severe disabilities, but there will be some. So, and he warned us, like, this is a long road. This is like, you're looking at like
years,
1 to 10 years to get him back to anywhere close to where he was. And so after the week in Seattle, he got airlifted. He was stable enough to fly. They airlifted him to Victoria, and we spent, I think it was like 30-something days in ICU, or 25 days in ICU, and he opened his eyes there, but you could tell he wasn't like really conscious. He was just his eyes were just open, and then he got moved up to the neuro floor.
Did we ever have a number of how many days he was in his own coma, not induced?
No.
He was because they had they took him off the whatever isopropanol or the drug that induces you into a coma he was off it for a couple of weeks at least, and he was
total till he opened his eyes was 14 days.
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
And that we were back in Victoria.
Even remember
and
all
then
these things.
He got up to the neuro ward in VGH and was there for God knows how long.
Yeah, up to 200 days or no,
something 155 or something. Anyway, and then he got moved to the rehab floor.
That's where he really started improving and getting better, and it was like fine. It was felt like we're actually gonna see our dad back. Yeah, it was like this is good. This is the step in the right direction. This is what we waited for. So
yeah, it's definitely and then so it's grand total 200 days in the hospital. So over half a year, right?
Yeah.
So,
holy crap!
Not the funnest time
I don't
ever.
ever want to go back to that hospital.
And you see stuff that like 20 whatever.
Yeah.
Anyone really, you shouldn't have to see your dad like that. And, freaking out because he doesn't understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Doesn't know where he is. So it was tough, but it is what it is, and we're moving forward. He's downstairs right now eating dinner. So
he's taco home. Salad.
He's good. Yeah.
Barking orders.
Yeah.
He's been.
Yeah. You know what? Looking back, and we did some. It was a horrible experience, but when we were in it and we were in the hospital looking at all these people that there's a guy who was just, or a girl just walking home from a concert, and she got hit by a drunk driver, and she was in much worse shape than Dad, and then there was another guy just riding his motorcycle, got hit by a car. There's just all these people just going to work, doing their everyday life.
That one guy golfing
Yeah.
on 4th of July I fell off the golf
fell
cart.
off a golf cart and
hit his head on a rock and had to like major brain surgery and stuff. It's crazy.
Dad was doing something that it was his passion, like that he always wanted to be a race car driver. Had a family, couldn't hack it, couldn't make it happen for him, and did everything for his kids, for us, and got us in a position where, you know, we played junior hockey till we were 21, 20, and, you know, we got to do everything in life because of him. And so seeing
people say to me all the time, like, wow, you spend a lot of time at home with your dad, or like, wow, you go to the hospital a lot. It's like, yeah, because
that's what he did.
My dad gave me 25 and a half years. I can give him
200 days.
Yeah, 200 days or however long it takes. It's not going to take 25 years, so whatever I got to do. So
yeah, knowing that Dad crashed doing the thing that really that was his original goal in life, was to do that. And
he always wanted a sprint car too.
Yeah.
And he always told us,
it doesn't make it better, but it makes it bearable.
He always told us to, like, don't live your life in fear, and don't not go to the concert in Vegas because you think that could happen, right? Yeah. Just go and live your life and do the things that you want to do, and let the chips fall where they may.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and obviously that had to play into consideration when James came back about 2 weeks after, and hopped in the car up at Saratoga.
Yeah, actually, as soon as we got back to Victoria, it was like, there's one thing that I know for sure, that I need to race. I need to get back in the car and not shy away.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, like this is, you know, all the work that we had put in every night in the shop during the off season to get his car, my car, Chris's car ready for that season. And, you know, we were doing, Dad starting at the back. I think he was leading the points for rookies at that before the crash. And so there was the one thing I knew for sure, that we needed to keep racing. It was family. Our family was at the track, and every time I would see somebody, when we got back from the speedway, or it was like, this feels right. So going back to the track was a no-brainer for me. It actually helped. It made it better. And right now, I think that's why I need to get back to the track now. It make me feel so much better to be back there. So yeah, that was we couldn't give up on the season after all we'd been through, and
we also couldn't have gone back if we didn't have the support from everyone.
Yeah,
all our fans, everyone in Wenatchee, Victoria, all our sponsors. We're pretty lucky, and we're pretty fortunate that we have
a lot of good people.
That we have a badass dad that everyone, you know, not everyone loved him, but, you know, a lot of people enjoyed his company. So, and he's the smartest guy I know. So he's given a lot to a lot of people. So, we're lucky that everyone liked him enough to support his family as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's our story.
Yeah. But there was, I think, in Seattle, you guys had a throwback 70s apartment to stay into.
Oh, yeah.
Those things.
That thing was wicked.
Shag carpet, spiral staircase. Oh, it was good.
Did you guys bring out the chest hair, too? And,
oh, yeah.
Bell bottoms?
Yeah. You know those, like, the tan yellow fridge and stove? That's what it had.
The really plasticky looking,
Killer.
Yeah, it was quite the place.
Yeah, that was the only place that was like
Available.
Yeah, the Red Sox and the Yankees were in town, so
every
good luck
hotel.
finding a hotel for less than $1,000 a night.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like $2,000 a night.
Yeah,
in a
no
hotel.
thank
We're
you.
like, yeah, no way.
Yeah,
Baseball.
We'll sleep on the street.
Yeah. Oh, we actually did sleep in the hospital waiting room.
Oh yeah.
We had beds set up in there.
And then we found out later that you're not allowed to do that.
Oh, and then we found out there was actually beds that you could sleep in.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's beds like on the next floor. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys just had to ask. Like.
You Canadians are way too polite. It's not really that much trouble.
Yeah.
We're pulling pillows out of the motorhome and stuff.
We're pulling cushions off the truck seats to sleep on. Oh yeah, there's a bed right here.
Yeah, it was interesting, but it was good. We're gonna good. It was a bad good experience because it taught me that there's a lot of good people out there, and that they're taught me that the racing community is the best community.
Yeah,
we have the most support for each other because it could happen to anyone.
Yeah, I think it just kind of solidifies that this is where I belong. This is what I'm gonna do, and yeah, this is my family. Racing is what we do.
Yeah, so obviously you started about how your dad was previously involved in racing and then had the family. How did you get involved in racing? Because James, dad was way out of it by the time that you were old enough to really get behind the wheel.
Yeah, I think watching Dad race when I was like 3 or 4 years old. What was it? Thunder cars back then, and then he raced a modified. And then when I was 11 years old, he built a Sportsman in the shop right outside here, and it was just always something that I wanted to do. Every year I would ask for a go-kart for Christmas. I still ask for a sprint car for Christmas every year. Still haven't got one. But every year I asked to drive something, and then so I was playing hockey. I was playing junior hockey, so that was my main focus. But during the summer, I wanted to do something. I didn't want to play lacrosse, or I didn't want to play baseball. So one season, Grandpa Gil, he raced old timers, ran the 71 since the first year the old timers started. So he said, "Do you want to drive it up in Saratoga?" I said, "Absolutely." I think that was 2007, and so we went up there. It rained. Okay, we'll get you back in the car another time. The next race was up in Saratoga. Do you want to drive it? Yeah, absolutely. Go up there, and it rained again. And then we were back playing hockey, so we couldn't make any more races after that. And then 2008, he basically said, "I'm going to sell the car if you don't want to race it." And I said, "You're not selling that car. I'm driving it." So that next season, I think we ran 4 races, didn't finish one race on the lead lap.
Yeah.
Got past, I think I was 2 laps down every race. Just out there putting around.
Stock Ford 200 motor.
Everyone else has got the built-up 250 Chevys and pushing 300 horsepower, and I'm out there with a little Briggs and Stratton. It felt like
that was back when before the car count kind of dipped. It's now come back to what it previously was.
Yeah,
it was about
that was
18 cars. Something
the
like
year
that
my rookie season in the old timers. We had Dan Morneau and Jim Rankin and Bob Exton and James Campbell. Oh man, so many guys. The Morneaus, all 3 Morneaus were racing at that point.
The thing with the old timers is it's just for fun. There's no championships, but everyone's competing
It's almost
hard,
like
and
when you say,
there's
"Oh, it's
good
just
drivers.
for fun," guys get even more competitive.
Bragging rights.
Yeah, absolutely. They're less calculated when it's just for fun because they're just out there going for trophies.
Yeah, and
So
the most money wins too.
Yeah, you're not looking to just get enough points to get you through this night and we'll come back and figure it out for the next race. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's where I started, and that's how I got into it. It was Grandpa, and then I hated putting around. I like competitive by nature growing up playing hockey, and I had to get better. So I think the next season we redid. I was out there every night in the winter when I wasn't playing hockey. We were out there, or I was anyway, cutting the car apart, putting new springs under it, new axle. Come in, Dad would be watching the Canucks game. I think he still wanted me to play hockey, make it to the NHL, but I was, I'm racing.
Junior B.
Yeah.
No, racing's too much fun for that.
Way more fun.
We're actually looking at a picture of back here of James, 2008 and 2009 Kerry Park Islanders Most Dedicated Award winner.
Yeah, look at that. Jeez.
Most dedicated. That means you weren't good enough to get anything else.
Yeah, you're just.
And they felt bad for you.
That is the
I've
best.
got a bunch of those.
That is what the scouts are looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, that means I was the best grinder on the team.
The best, worst player.
Yeah. I think they give the most dedicated to the water boy as well.
Yeah, it's not limited to players.
Yeah, no.
But obviously cut the car up and
tinkered on it, made it better every year, for the next 3 years. But each year I only raced like 4 races. My first 3 years, or 2 years. Yeah, my first 2 years I only raced like half a season because we were playing hockey. So as soon as hockey ended for me, it was, I had to make the car. I had to win. I had to start winning races. So I called up Chuck, started getting a motor together and at Mid-Island, and me and my dad built it outside in the garage, put it all together, and went out that season, won my first main event down in Wenatchee, and then I won the championship night back at Western. Or no, not Wenatchee. It was Spokane. Yeah, Spokane was a fun race. That my first win. We were the whole family, I think, was down there. We had everybody up in the stands. Me, I think, Chris, were you there that year? Yeah. So me, you, and Dad were in the pits.
I wasn't even in the pits.
Oh no, you weren't?
No, I watched the race.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's just me and Dad in the pits.
Yeah.
And I came in and I was like, I don't know, Dad. Like, the car feels so good, but I'm just so slow. He's like, well, don't lift. Just go into the corner. Don't lift. I'm like, well, it's so fast. It's a huge banking, super long.
Yeah, for those of
big
you
bank corners.
Don't know the Spokane Valley, what is it, Super Bowl? I think it's called.
Spokane County Raceway.
Spokane County Raceway is
check the
banked half mile.
Yeah.
Which for a
similar to
six-cylinder powered 1934 Ford.
You know you're doing 100 miles an hour in that car. It's like, oh, God. Going into the corner at 100 miles an hour, and don't lift. Yeah, right, Dad. So went back out, I think, for qualifying, and ended up qualifying okay, I think. I can't even remember now, but mid-pack somewhere. And we had, like, 18, 19 cars down there. Because all the guys from the States, it was one big kind of meet. And once I got to the heat races, it's like finally starting to figure it out and finally finding I don't need to lift. I can just ride the brake just a little bit and keep her down the whole way. And then main event, just found myself out front in the first couple laps, and once again, way out front.
Yeah, I think he won by like almost
through
half a lap.
Yeah, navigating through traffic. It was one of the most fun races I've ever been in. Going through lap traffic at 100 miles an hour on the outside, into the third groove, going into the corner and diving back down under guys. It was a blast. But yeah, I think the next race after that. So I won my first race.
Oh yeah,
the following
just
race,
walled it hard. Just wrote the whole
just
front end of the car off.
cocky. Yeah, I qualified like way out front. I was like 0.2 quicker than everybody else. I was like, oh, I'm winning this for sure. Get in the heat race.
So cocky.
Get in the heat race. Start at the very back. Going for third place
on the last lap
on
of
the
the
last
heat race.
lap.
On the last lap of the heat.
I was winning for sure. Came out of the corner and just tagged Joe Dardingo's, I think it was his right rear or something like that, with my left front, and bent it out of shape,
into the wall.
all sideways down the backstretch, head on into the wall. Boom! Took the rad out. Motor came out of the car, completely racked the car up, and then
That's a good one.
yeah, it was. Yeah, learned a good lesson there.
Don't
get too high.
Did you? Because I've seen you do that after that race too.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Trying to win the heat race
I think
on the last lap.
That
Yeah, but
happened
that was
this-
a different class.
That,
so it
that
doesn't
happened.
count.
That happened this year in the Trophy Dash
Yeah.
on the last
I
lap.
think, but I did.
I
come
did
second
that.
at that main event.
You did come second to
did
the main
finish
event,
second.
but I do remember you almost took out the drag race, the concrete
Yeah,
drag race thing holding the
Oh,
drag
I
race
hit it.
scoreboards down.
yeah. That was my favorite bumper too. I took those pretzel bumpers from I think it's Triple X or whatever. Those bumpers are awesome. Just totally destroyed it.
All
I
right,
think
so-
I actually took out Ryan Orchard too in that race.
he'd be
No,
all
that
right.
was a different Trophy Dash.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No, I think it was. Because he was on the
yeah.
outside.
Yeah,
and
I
he-
remember. Yeah,
And I kind of
I remember.
didn't really
Oh,
arc
yeah.
it into the corner very nicely. It kind of went in too low and bounced off the curb and just took his left front right out from underneath him.
Yeah, that was in the first
Sorry,
corner.
Ryan.
First corner, and then
Yeah.
last lap of the Trophy Dash.
Yeah, it was a pretty embarrassing push back to the pits.
Throwaway race.
Yeah.
I did that this year. I was in Trophy Dash and decided, hey, the last lap, let's just do some donuts on the backstretch. Why not?
That's what the good guys do, right?
Yeah. You know, Chris, you have to win first.
Yeah, there's a white painted line on the front straight that you have to cross.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost at 50 minutes here.
Holy crap.
Should we wrap this up?
Should
I
we?
guess so. What else do we got to talk about? What
Well,
other dumb
there's-
stuff have we done?
There's your move to sprint cars.
Yeah, I guess so.
Talk about your interesting rookie year in a Will Rock car.
Interesting weekend, rookie season.
Well, that was a Daffodil?
Yeah.
Actually, both. I've never been good on double night shows.
I think just Daffodil Cup has your number.
It does. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe I got to change my number. I think I can't even remember what happened that season.
Someone spun in front of you that night, and then you climbed their tires, and you tipped over. Like a very
that's
slow
right.
roll.
That was
And
that
then,
was a fun night.
And then we didn't check the gas tank,
Yeah,
and
It
that
was-
was when you had a regular fuel cell.
yeah. Shane Wilcox kind of lost it a little bit in front of me. I think he was going to gather it up, but I decided to try and dive underneath him to pass him while he was out of control, and ended up hopping his left front, climbing up on the hood, and just the momentum carried me over and kind of did a little flip flop onto my lid. And they actually rolled me back over they're like, are you okay? Are you okay? I was like, yeah, just flip me over and push me off. Let me go. So they did flip me over and push me off, and I think I finished third.
And then the next night, because we didn't take, I guess the gas leaked
some
out.
Gas still in the back of the tank, and we might have overfilled it a little bit, so it was sloshing out the breather, and ignited in hot laps of the main event. So I didn't even start the main event, so I got like 0 points for that. That was cool. So yeah, sparked up going down the front stretch, just fireball. Yeah, a brand new Alpine Star suit, just freaking cooked. Burnt all my seat cushions up, seat belts.
The moral of this podcast is don't cheap out on safety gear.
Yeah.
yeah. Always go for the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but it didn't burn my skin. It was pretty scary though. I realized I was on fire. You know, I did something weird though. I saw the fire up by my hip in the car, because in the sprint car it's fully open right under your seat and right to the ground. So I could see the flame come up beside me, and for some reason I thought I could pat it out. So I was going like this on my legs and trying to pat out the flames, and then realized, oh crap, I'm really on fire. And then I was just like panic mode, shut the car down right away, stopped right in the middle of the corner, just the worst place you could stop. Probably should have like kept going, maybe pull into the pits,
maybe
right
to
by
a
the
fire truck.
Yeah, to the fire truck where they'll actually put it out for you. No, stopped right in the middle of the corner, fully engulfed in the cockpit. Like the flames came right up. I could feel them on my face around the balaclava, and trying to pull my belts off. Well, I had those like Simpson belts that, like the 3-inch belt down your shoulder with the 2-inch over the Hans. So it was like a double belt, and so I pull the belt off, jump out of the car. Hans is still connected, so I can't get out of the car. Meanwhile, the flames are just going up my back. I can feel it cooking my back. Pretty scary. Luckily, somebody ran over, pulled my belts off, pulled the Hans device off the belts, and then before I even climbed out of the car, they had a fire extinguisher there, put it out right away. So yeah, it didn't. No burns, no nothing. Just a very expensive fire suit sitting down in the closet right now, completely cooked.
Can't win them all.
Yeah.
No, so how's the wife with the racing, Brittany?
I think she likes it. I haven't figured her out yet. No, she loves it. She really got more involved this year. I think once we started doing better, she's like, oh, I think I like this now. Yeah.
She doesn't want to be associated with the guy that's on fire.
She doesn't like losers. So I gotta keep trying to win. Otherwise, I don't know. No, but I think it was funny. The first thing when we crashed at Daffodil Cup, after Dad's crash and everything, and the crash was very similar to Dad's crash. Just I didn't have the bank or anything to carry my momentum over and flip me upside down, and I was a lot closer to the backstretch wall. So when I tagged with Jeff on the backstretch, I almost hit the wall immediately. So when we crashed, I got out of the car, knocked the wind out of me pretty good. Got out of the car, through the steering wheel, because that's what you do, right? when you just wreck and you realize that was a really expensive car.
You know what the best part was? James goes, right before he got in the car, he said,
no, you said to me, be careful, okay?
And he says, don't worry, man, I'm good at this. I'm like, fuck's sake.
And maybe not.
Fist in mouth. So I get out of the car, and I'm walking across the track. It's a red flag because apparently it looked spectacular.
It was interesting from the tower. It looked like a helicopter blade.
Yeah,
a green helicopter blade.
It definitely knocked the wind out of me pretty good. So anyways, get out of the car, walk across the track. Brittany's there crying. And I'm like, oh, no. First thing she says to me, how are you going to win the championship now?
No, are you all right,
Yeah,
honey?
no.
She was just crying about
Yeah.
the point situation.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I think she's on board.
She's in.
Yeah.
She married into it, so.
She had no choice.
And then I think a little extended vacation that you two took allowed Chris to get behind the wheel. Did you want to drive before that, or was it a situation?
Yeah, we went down to Australia.
Honestly, I'll do it. It was kind of like, I'll do it. Sure, if he's not going to be here, I'll do it. And you get in,
It's like
there's
cocaine
nothing
or
really like it.
heroin. Once you do it.
Yeah. It's like, Dad always used to say this too, is that once you race, everything else is boring. Video games are boring, board games are boring, movies are boring.
Yeah.
Like, nothing hits that adrenaline. Hockey's boring.
Yeah.
It's just, there's nothing like it. And once you get in, like, once you're in the car, like, when he goes like 1 to green, I'm just like, I start like screaming to myself in the car,
and then you spin.
Then he spins out.
Yeah,
Might have something to do with it.
yeah, that's probably it. But it's like super exciting, and then once the green flag goes, though, it's like everything calms down because you're so super focused and turned on. You're just ready to win.
Yeah.
We'll try and win. Do your best.
Yeah. So yeah, we went down to Australia, me and Brittany, and so they got to Dad jumped
Dad
in
drove
the car.
one.
Dad drove one. You drove one.
His gut was too big, so he had to turn the
Steering wheel inside out.
Inside out. It was funny.
Yeah.
Then I drove. My previous races that I drove when James was here, he got something in his eye before he got a metal shaving in his eye before the main event. So I literally got in the car for the main event, and everyone's like, James, why did you do so bad? Like, why are you 2 laps down? Like, that was Chris. But not anymore. Not this year. Not this year. Not anymore. No more 2 laps down.
We're just not even showing up because we have so many bloody weddings.
So many weddings. And James, how is being in Australia and just watching racing for about a year?
Yeah, Australia's awesome. If I had the chance to go back there, I would definitely be buying a dirt car. They're crazy about their sprint cars down there, and yeah, a lot of good, really good Aussies come up and race in World of Outlaws and ASCS and whatever. And what is it? Jamie Veal, Madsen.
Doesn't James McFadden?
Oh yeah, James McFadden. He's another Aussie. Yeah, I watched all those guys at the Valvoline Raceway in Sydney. It was pretty cool. And I think that's when I decided, when we were down there, I decided this is what I'm gonna do. Like this. I'm going to get a sprint car. I'm not going to, because we kind of toyed with the idea when we were in 2014. I think we ended up winning like 4 main events out of 8 races or something like that, or 10 races. And it was like, okay, you know what? I think it's almost time that we move on and get something new and try another class. Still continue with the old timers with Chris and Dad and whatever, but I think we thought that it was almost time for that. And then we went to Australia and came back and had absolutely no money. So we had toyed with the idea a little bit about getting a late model and, you know, what's going to be the best option, what's the best road. And when we were down in Australia, it was like, no, sprint cars, this is what I'm doing. I'm coming back, I'm buying a car as soon as I have enough money, and we're going to go sprint car racing. So that's kind of
they're just so much easier to work on.
Yeah.
Just
it's just I don't know.
It's way better.
Don't know if I ever. I'll drive anything, but I don't think I'll own any other different car. Just because it's so easy to work on these cars, even though they are a little bit more expensive if you do have a problem and wreck it. But in the late models, the same way. Fiberglass bodies, and they're always beating them up and wrecking them and
rolling them.
Yeah.
On occasion.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, once in a while. So,
Anyway,
that's actually kind of how we got into the sprint cars. Was kind of in Australia. Kind of inspired me to do that, just because they're so crazy about it. I think we went to like three racetracks when we were down there. Nowra, I think it was called, Sydney or Valvoline, and there was this in Rockhampton. It's kind of like the opposite of like the States, or like the South is actually north. So the deeper you go south, or the further you go north, it just gets more and more redneck. And so we were up in Rockhampton, which is like way up north on the East Coast, and we found this little dirt track at this old fairgrounds, and there was these guys. They're called super stalkers or something like that, and it was basically a stock car with a sprint car engine in it, just this massive engine with the stack sticking out the hood with a wing on it. and I think they had like late model, like a dirt late model tire underneath them. So just the tires were sticking like 6 inches out the side of the car, and they're just like flying around. They can barely keep them in a straight line. They're just sliding all over the place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was pretty cool, but totally redneck. And that was our kind of experience racing down and watching races down in Australia.
Yeah, so I guess reaching the hour mark almost, we should probably
we'll wrap it up.
Wrap it up here. So if anybody else has any guest ideas that they want on the island, obviously if you suggest somebody like Jeff Gordon or Jimmy Johnson, we will unfortunately not
yet, at least.
Not yet. Yeah. Not yet. We're not traveling to Vegas this weekend for the Cup Series race down there. But if you do have any island-based suggestions,
or even Pacific Northwest,
comment on the Facebook page or the Instagram page.
Facebook at ShortTrackRadio 1, Instagram ShortTrackRadio, YouTube ShortTrackRadio 1, and then you can find our Miller Family Racing page at Facebook, Miller Family Racing 71, and Instagram Miller Family Racing 71 as well. So
we really got to update that website.
We have a website?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the first I've actually heard of you guys having a website.
Yeah.
So if you do see a Miller Family Racing website, do not go on that for all of your Miller Family Racing news.
Go to the Facebook page.
And as I'm employed by Western Speedway, I'm also inclined to mention that if you haven't liked the Western Speedway Facebook page, please go do it.
Do it. All right,
that should wrap it up, and I think we're going to try and do this next week. We're
going to try and pump out one a week. Would be sweet, but it's depending on the guests that we get.
Yeah, all right. So
cool.
That's going to do it for the first edition of the Miller Family Racing. What are we? Short Track Radio.
Yeah.
Short Track Radio podcast.
All right. Bye-bye.